fancy uniforms and remember what got you here. Focus on the fundamentals we've gone over time and time again. And most important, don't get caught up thinking about winning or losing this game. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
This is the New Hampshire High School Basketball Show.
This is a second coming. This is a call to arms. Your finest hour won't be wasted.
The New Hampshire High School Basketball Show is brought to you by the New Hampshire State Liquor Commission's Division of Enforcement.
Right now, it's not about talent, it's about heart. It's about who can go out there and play the hardest, who can go out there and play the smartest. Now, they've been here before, so they're not going to give it to us. We got to go out there and we got to take it.
And now your hosts, Pete Terrier.
But I have a question, though. Those two foul shots, the end of the game, did you miss them? Or did you miss them?
Not exactly a shoot question, is it?
And Dave Haley from NHSportsPage.com.
All season long, we played our game. Right now, you're playing theirs. When we step on the floor, every second that clock is ticking, we are pedal to the metal. We run the ball. We pressure the ball. And most importantly, we control the tempo of the game.
Good morning and welcome to another edition, a 2015 edition of the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show. We do it to you each and every Saturday morning during the basketball season on two fine stations here in New Hampshire, the legendary WGIR News Radio 610 and our Seacoast signal for you, News Talk 96.7. My name is Pete Terrier. Glad to be back in studio with my co-host Dave Haley. Thank you for holding down the fort. You and Sam Natty did a great job last week while I was in a water park, of all places.
Yeah, how'd that go?
It was awesome. And you with a young daughter, definitely should take her down to Great Wolf Lodge. It's in Fitchburg, Mass.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
It's only about an hour away from the Manchester area. A little bit farther for you, Dave, coming from the seacoast, but definitely take her down there. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's like Vegas for kids. That's what it is.
Without the financial burden afterwards. Yeah, that's good.
So we're back at it. School back in session after the holiday break. The games started back up. Some of them actually started last Friday night, regular season games, January 2nd. But this week, everybody back at it. Pretty much a full slate of games around the state of New Hampshire. We'll get to that with the scoreboard. Special guest coming up, bottom of the hour, a couple minutes after that. Matt Alosa from Pembroke. What an offseason the Pembroke Spartans had. Not only were they transferring from D2 to D1, there was a lot of controversy going around with that Pembroke program.
I didn't hear anything.
You didn't know, huh? Well, we'll try.
Wasn't aware.
We'll see if Coach Alosa can fill us in on what's been going down since we talked to him last at UNH.
I saw him last night. Yeah,
and they were in action at Pinkerton. We got John Kesty from NHSportsPage.com in here with the video camera. He's shooting the show. We'll have it posted on the website, and we got a couple of special guests in here, near and dear to my heart. A couple of Nashua High South students. Both of them senior. You guys both seniors, right? Yeah. Okay, we got Tom Crocco and Adam Buskey, who reached out to me via Twitter earlier this week, and I've been seeing their stuff on my Twitter feed. They tweet out all things Nashua High School South scores. They do their own sports show. They really wanted to come in and see what a real sports show
what two legends look like in action.
So we invited them in here, and they're going to sit in on with us, and they were actually calling the Nashua South Trinity game last night. So we'll bring them on, and we'll get a breakdown from what they saw. Before we go any further, let's hit the scoreboard. Dave Haley's got it for you. It's brought to you by our friends from the New Hampshire State Liquor Commission, the Division of Enforcement, and the Buyers Beware campaign, reminding all adults it's against the law to provide alcohol to minors, even if your favorite football team is playing a huge playoff game in Foxborough tonight. It's not the time to buy a six-pack or whatever, sit down with your son and watch the Patriots hopefully move on to the AFC Championship game. You just can't do it. It's against the law.
So Brian Lynch, new head coach over at Alvern, just doesn't know how to lose games. 64-55. They go on the road and beat a pretty good Nashua North team last night. the Twitter assassin, Sam Bonnie Lyles, with, I think, 18 points in that one. He led the way, at least. Got the box score up on NASportspage.com. But 64-55, Alvirne beats Nashua North. Bedford bounces back. Second straight win from Mike Fitzpatrick's team. They beat Salem 66-51. They pulled a Bedford had beaten Nashua South in overtime last week or earlier in the week. So 2 straight for Bedford.
I got to interject here for a quick second. Because last night as we were leaving Manchester Memorial, myself and Jen Chick, who shot the video for NHSportsPage.com, I was telling her about wherever I go, I run into people, and they come up to me and they say, "Are you Pete Terrier? You know, I love NHSportsPage.com, love the video." I walk into Five Guys on South Willow Street last night in Manchester after the game. "Hey, Pete Terrier." It's the Bedford basketball team.
Oh,
a
really?
bunch of the members, Colby Gendron and Gardner Gendron, a bunch of those guys were over there. And, so right after I said that to Jen, I walk in there, and what do you know?
Well, here's an open message and a plea to those guys. I used to have the manager there, Fitzy set it up, where the managers to email me their stats. And then before that, James Caparel's dad used to send me stats. I got nobody from Bedford. Nobody's coming out to me. This is like one of the biggest sports towns in the state of New Hampshire. I got nothing for these guys. So someone's got to step up and help me out here. I put kind of a plea in the Thursday Thoughts that parents, and I had a couple, I told you earlier before the show, I had 2 different parents out of nowhere started emailing me stats last night. Terrific.
Good.
Like, for example, Ryan Murdoch, I think it's Ryan Murdoch's dad, from Fall Mountain sends me all their stats. Great. We'll enter everyone's stats. We want every team in the state, but we need some help here. You can't rely on newspapers anymore. I'm sorry. And I pay subscriptions for a bunch of them. I don't mind paying it, but they don't do it. They don't get the complete box scores. So Bedford kids, whoever's listening, step up. Dave Haley at NHSportsPage.com. I want to get the kids caught up. Londonderry 73-33 over Concord. Mark Corey with 25 points for Londonderry.
They're blowing everybody
They're
up.
really good. And by the way, Pelham beat them. And I'm not pointed out I'm just talking about how good Pelham is. I mean, that's unbelievable. Londonderry's just destroying D1 teams. So Nate Stanton's team only got better after he came in studio and just kind of just got the atmosphere of me and Sam Natty. And obviously it guided them to a 40-point win last night. Keene gets their first W year. Dave Sontag 68-62. They beat Dover last night.
26-game losing streak is over.
Over. They're not going to be on Deadspin. They weren't even close to Timberlanes. What was Timberlanes?
88.
Was it 88?
Yeah.
I thought it was 81. Game that Pete Terrier and Jennifer Chick covered last night. We're going to get into it. Manchester Central on the road beats Memorial. Memorial's kind of reeling right now. 69-59 Central with the win. Who you said Amaro Conte?
Conte going up against his former mates, scored 20 and was very, very good in that game. Jalen Leroy, Tom Dixon was telling me about him during the offseason, saying, "Watch out for this kid." I saw him play a couple times in the holiday tournament. And he impressed me last night. I mean, this guy's a good player. And Joey Martin's Joey Martin.
Yeah, Joey Martin.
And Kabongo's Kabongo. He had 34 of the 59 for Memorial.
Yeah, or as Jen Chick referred to him on Twitter, Kabingo. Pinkerton, a game I was at with the great John Cassidy last night. Pinkerton with a 58-51 win over Pembroke Academy. 15 points for Gio Baker, who's now officially one of my favorite players in the state. I love that kid. Love watching him play. Good kid, too. We're going to get into that one.
And the highlights for both of those games up on the website.
Yeah, we're up. We are a well-oiled machine right now, which I feel good about because I'm leaving. We'll get into that, but I'm leaving for a week next Friday. I'm going to be gone, and I'm handing my baby over to you guys. I'm going to run my website. It's our website, excuse me. I'm a little nervous about that. Here's the question, Pete. This is the question I've gotten from 4 different Division I coaches this week. What is wrong with Bishop Girton? I've gotten that question from quite a few people. Honestly, who said, what's going on over there?
Maybe they're not as good as we thought they would be.
47-41, Tim Goodrich's team grinding out a win. Merrimack they are playing the disrespect card. I mean, they are all over Twitter with this. Nobody believes in this. I mean, I don't remember anyone beating down on Merrimack. I mean, they lost a lot of players. They lost 2 Shane Bork and Eric Gendron from the Shrine team. I mean, they lost a lot last year, so I don't think anyone's down. Ian Cummings, really good-looking freshman from Merrimack.
I like him.
47-41. Game that these two bozos were at last night, 69-56.
You're calling them bozos?
Oh,
These are the future of America.
We were talking fantasy football right before we went on. I'm just kidding. They're good kids. 69-56. Nashua South with a win over Trinity. Richard Eaton, my friend who leaves all the Trinity scores, said to me, he goes, That DJ Frechette kid killed us, is all he said. 29 points for DJ Frechette. I never got Nate Mazeroll on the phone. I called him, and his phone was busy in the preseason, so I feel a little silly that I didn't hype up that kid more, but I didn't know.
Well, just quickly on DJ Frechette, as we know, and anybody who listens to the show, I'm a Nashua guy. I grew up in Nashua. I lived there the first 26 years of my life. So I've been living in the Manchester area for the last 20. But I used to coach a kid by the name of Danny Frechette back in the day. When I was at the boys club, I was a coach for a summer league there, and he was a very, very good player. And then last year when I went to South games, I saw this kid, DJ Frechette. And I'm like, man, it looks like Danny Frechette. I wonder if it's his kid. What do you know? It's his kid.
He's killing it. We have the scoring leaders up on NASportsPage.com, updated, after every game. And he's got to be he's probably right there with Brian Holmes as the leading scorer early on in Division I, but you can check the stats up there. Chris States with a big game. I think he had 22 points, 17 for Darian Barry. Spalding, the Fighting McIsaacs are undefeated, 62-41 over Winnicunnet.
They're better than, maybe we should have been crediting Spalding when we were lauding BG for being a contender this year.
They are just a solid mix of seniors, and they are very well coached. They run a really smart offense. I've always talked about how good of a coach I think Tim Cronin is. I just think he's got a group he can really work with. Getting Anthony Ciccatelli back is huge for those guys. They're undefeated, and that's a good one. Goffstown 44-41 over Co-Brown. Good win there for the Grizzlies, who's kind of turning it around a little bit. Souhegan 67-65. Good win over Conval. Good win for Pete Pierce and his team. Brady blows out John Stark for the second time early this season. John Stark is saying sayonara to Brady. Yeah, we're all done.
Again.
Goodbye. I don't want to see you again till Summer League. 73-38, Brady with the win there. Kennett all over Kingswood, blows him out second time already this season, so Kingswood says sayonara to Kennett. 67-32, Kennett with the W there. Brandon DeLucio, point guard for Kennett, is leading Division II in scoring coming into last night. Again, all those stats on NASportsPage.com because Dave Haley gets up at 5 in the morning and does that for you, the listener. Milford, 56-55 over Hollis Brookline. Tough loss for Mike Soucy's team, but hanging around there. I think that team's going to get better as they go along, but a good win for Milford. Wyndham, 64-42 win over Timberlane last night. Lauren Lucas and Oyster River get a nice W, 71-60 over St. Thomas. St. Thomas just runs and guns. People are just shocked when they see St. Thomas. People are all over Twitter. They can't understand what's going on.
Goffstown used to do that. They 5 in, 5 out.
Justin Gorham.
The quick strike, the Loyola Marymount approach to Hank Gathers and Bo Kimball days.
Yeah. Jeff Fryer, that's my guy from Loyola Marymount.
I forgot about him. 8
threes in the game. Laconia, Steve McDonough's team gets a nice win on the road, 39-36 in a rock fight against Belmont. Laconia gets the W last night. Conant, 54-44 over Bow. That team is definitely in transition. I talked to Eric Sasha this week. They're not Conant that we've seen in years. They could be by the end of the year, but that's a team that needs to develop. Campbell, all over Prospect Mountain. I think we're starting to see Campbell wins 83-51 over Prospect Mountain on the road. I think we're starting to see Division III separate.
Yeah.
We're starting to see some teams go in one direction, and that's a key there. Franklin, 53-50. Kenny Torres with a three-pointer at the buzzer to win it over Mascoma. Franklin gets the win. Huge week for Franklin. Rich Otis, as I mentioned, is coaching his butt off. 53-50 over Mascoma. They beat Winnisquam earlier in the week, which was a huge score. But Kenny Torres, I believe, had 18 or 19. It's on the site. Dana Bean had 10. I think Bruce Carey had 16. Those three guys can all play. And if you get guys to fill in around them and they're coached well, Roger Hawthorne, I want to give a shout-out. Greatest pull-up jumper in men's league history, Roger Hawthorne, is the assistant coach over at Franklin. So he and Rich are doing a really nice job over there.
Is it Roger or Raja?
Roger.
Okay, like Raja Bell, who used to play for BC?
But when you're in Laconia, some people say Raja. Yeah,
gotcha.
This one is
As we pause here, a moment of silence.
Newport 54, Guilford 36.
Nothing to say about that one?
Andrew Hood had 30. And I've been really nice to Andrew Hood and have been really friendly with his father, Scott. So this is sort of a slap in the face to me. He just goes into my high school gym and scores 30 points and just walks out of there with his finger in the air like he's Joe Namath. 54-36. It was 24-23, 1-point game at the half. Caleb Orton, who's a key to Guilford, goes down with an ankle injury in the second half, but Newport just beat him and hit foul shots to win that game, and I'm a little bitter at the Hood family right now, but we'll get through this.
And they got a younger Hood I saw. Like
Ethan.
Okay. Ethan, is he a sophomore or freshman?
I think he's a freshman. Stevens, 56-48 over Fall Mountain. Ryan Murdoch with 25 points, less than everyone out there. If you send me the stats, I'll tell you how many points you scored. So Ryan Murdoch, 25 points because I got it last night. Farmington 51-37 over Somersworth. Messinic all over Hillsborough Deering 75-46. Rockfight Central. Hopkinton 34-32 over Kearsarge. And this game was like 17-12 at halftime.
And it was a Jamison Crouch three-pointer that won that game.
Oh, it was a 3, so they were down 1. I saw he hit the game winner, but I didn't.
And it might have been overtime. I'm not sure, but if it was, that's a heck of a low-scoring game for
please
overtime.
Tell me that didn't go overtime. 34-32, and Dave Chase likes to get up and down the floor too. So I don't know if Nate Camp slowed it down or what happened in that one, but nice win for Dave Chase's team. Pelham, good grief, Charlie Brown. 82-47 over Raymond. Doesn't sound horrible. It was 45-15 at halftime.
Yikes.
Keith Brown with 22. Ryan Cloutier with 17. Ryan Rondo with 15. Pelham's really, really, really good. I'm trying to get that through. 82-47 over Raymond. Again, 45-15 at halftime. Matt Regan, I think, called off the Dogs. They could have got to 100. Winnisquam. The North Country is really bad this year, and it's really sad. The North Country teams in Division III and Division IV are at their lowest level. I say this because White Mountains beat Groveton on Tuesday, and Winnisquam goes up and beats White Mountains 85-41. It was 70-26 going into the fourth quarter. Kristen Serrano with a big game. Tori Martinez playing well for that team, and the Bears go up there. But, man, it is bad up in the North Country, as bad as it's been in a long time, which really bums me out because – as far as coaches, they have as good a coaches as anywhere in the state. I would put Buddy Trask, Mark Collins, Trevor Howard, Paul Greenlaw, Jamie Walker, Sam Natty. I'd put any of those guys up against any guys in Manchester or Nashua. But if you don't have any talent, there's nothing you can do about it. And some of these kids just haven't gotten after it in the offseason. Colebrook with a 60. Oh, that was a downer, huh? 68-49 over Lisbon. Colebrook gets the win, 68-49 over Lisbon. This game was close early, but Sam Natty's team could only get 13 points in the second half. He was really happy about that. We talked last night on the phone. He was in a great mood. Moultonborough, 43-35. Johnny McClay for a big game. They beat Concord Christian. Epping all over Newmarket. 65-32. Dylan DeRoja had a big dunk in this game. My man Colby Wilson with 13. Brett Kuchar with 16.
I'm going to see Epping at Derryfield on Tuesday night.
Yes, they're excited that you're coming. I told Sean Young, and I got 3 exclamation points over text that Pete Terrier's coming. People just love Pete Terrier coming into their gym. Me, not so much. Sunapee 78-53 over Hinsdale. 33 points for Isaiah Chappelle. Giggles with a huge game there. Those guys are back. 78-53 over Hinsdale. The shocker of the night, Woodsville behind 26 points from Jared Bemis, 67-56 over Littleton. At Littleton, Woodsville walks in there and wins. Trevor Howard told me early in the week, he said, Woodsville's playing really well. They played a team, Rivendell, that people in New Hampshire don't know, but it's a really good Vermont team.
That's the elf place in The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, Rivendell.
I knew we would get back to Lord of the Rings at some point in the show. God, you're so happy.
I've seen it twice. I've seen the movie twice already.
There are no elves involved in last night's 67-56 win for Littleton. Jared Bemis with 26 points and Woodsville with a huge win. I mean, that's on the road. Littleton always struggles going at the cribbo of the Woodsville Engineers, but last night Woodsville goes in Littleton and shocks them. I said Littleton was vulnerable a couple weeks ago, and it's proven right there. Wilton, 86-45 over Newt. Scott Courier's doing a great job at Newt, by the way. Like, just, they got a nice, fun little team. They beat
Connor
Profile.
Bradway's a good player, but, I mean, obviously Jordan Litz, I don't know what else happened in that game.
Coach Courier said to me, he said Litz might be better defensively than he is offensively, and he means that as the highest compliment. So, but here's these last 2 scores, and then, we'll be done with the scoreboard. These last 2 scores reiterate the point I'm making about the North Country, okay? Newt just beat Profile a couple of nights ago. Good game, but they beat him by, I think, 7 points, something like that. They then lose to Wilton 86-45 at home, okay?
By 41.
Right.
Wow.
Linwood has won 3 games up north, okay? 3. They lose to Portsmouth Christian 74-22.
Yikes.
So the North Country teams are so far below the Southern teams. I've never seen it like this, and this is the 8 years I've been doing it. Remember, the North Country pretty much wins every championship in that division, except for last year. Moultonborough a couple times, but I mean, it's either Lisbon or Colebrook or Groveton, winning those titles. So the disparity between the North and the South has never been bigger. I mean, Linwood's won 3 games, and they lost 74-22 to the Big Smooth Lewis Atkins' team. So depressing. And I'm going up, by the way, covering Colbert Groveton in a month. So
Have fun with
I'll
that.
be there.
Have fun
Those
with
are
that.
my guys. It's a
All
bummer,
right.
though.
There's your longest scoreboard in New Hampshire high school hoops history.
I like it.
But it was a lot of fun. I missed you, Dave, so it's glad to be back.
And I have a rant ready by the end of the show. I'm going to yell into
All
the
right,
microphone.
well, we'll see what kind of time we have for that. I always want to squeeze in a Dave Haley rant. We got to take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk about the game that I was at, the Memorial Central game. And then 8:35, Matt Alosa from Pembroke Academy will be our guest. His team takes their first loss of the season since moving up to Division I. They did lose a game in the holiday tournament in Concord against Bishop Brady. It is the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show, News Radio 610 and 96.7.
From Manchester West to Winnicott, Central to Somersworth, and Portsmouth to Plymouth, this is the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show on News Radio 610 and 96.7.
Games around the state of New Hampshire last night. I was at Manchester Memorial High School, the Bronstein Gym, a rematch of awesome playoff game from last year, the Division I semifinals.
Playoff game, yeah.
Double overtime, 99-91, I think was the final in that
It wasn't
one.
that awesome. Yeah.
It was an unbelievable game. Memorial almost pulling off a huge upset. You knew Central was going to have a much different team this year, but Memorial was basically bringing everybody back, or so we thought. Didn't work out that way. There's some situations going on with Jack Quirk and his team, so they haven't exactly been able to field a full squad, but they still have a very solid team. And they played Manchester Central tough last night. This was a 3-point game at the half. Kabongo Nalakalande was going off. He had 14 points in the first half and started going off in the third quarter, had 10 points in the third quarter. Memorial took the lead. The game was tied. Kabongo picks up his fourth personal foul with 3 minutes left. The game was tied at 42. Central goes on an 11-0 run to finish out the third quarter, and they basically cruised the rest of the way. I mean, Memorial made some runs, but never was really able to get it. I don't think they got closer than 5 in the fourth quarter, and Central ends up winning at 69-59. Omaru Conte, who did not play in the tournament game, the holiday tournament game against Central.
Yeah.
The game that Central won 67-66 on the putback by Nate Guillermo, who, by the way, didn't play last night for Central. But Mario Conte had a big game, 20 points for him. Jalen Leroy showed the ability to score on the low block. Undersized guy, 6'2", maybe, but he's a lefty, and I think that makes it harder to defend. Maybe you could talk about that a little bit as a player. And then Joey Martin, just a real solid player, 15 points, had a number of amazing assists. You can see the highlights on nhsportspage.com.
People are going to have to know Central now. You throw them in there with Memorial, you're going to have to wonder who. This is going to be a common practice for us to say, "Oh, he didn't play last night, and this kid didn't play." It's unfortunate, but we all know the circumstances around it. Nate Guillermo misses a game. Omar Conte misses a game. I mean,
Acott didn't play last night either.
He's not.
He had 29 points the other night. You think he's not on the team?
Yeah, I think he's done. He could be gone for a long time. Yeah, I'm not going to get into why, but it's not. He didn't do anything, but it's just eligibility. I'll leave it at that. But he may be gone for a while.
And for Memorial, no Trayvon Mon. He was in the gym, for the entire game. I saw him after the game talking with Coach Quirk. Who knows what's going on with him, whether or not he'll be back. If they got him back, man, they would be a contender.
Oh, God, yeah.
They just don't have enough outside Kabongo. Preston did not play well last night.
No, he's
I think he might have only scored 3 points in the game, maybe a little bit more, but he did not play well. I like the kid Malo Rumraj. I think he's very athletic, but he's raw.
Yeah, he is raw.
He
makes a play, a kind of a special little play, and you say okay, and then he sort of goes invisible for a couple of minutes, and yeah, he's raw. Look, Kabongo is. I was just over there, doing a fundraiser with those kids last week, and I'm standing next to Kabongo talking to him. He's just a big boy. I mean, he's not. Like you said, like tall. He's probably as tall as me, but he's just a strong kid for a high school kid.
He's just good.
He's very good. He's excellent. I love watching him play. Yeah, I mean, but these guys are going to be coming and going all year long with Central. I mean, it just is what it is. And Memorial's in that same boat where Jack, said it in my preview. He goes, I'm going to coach the guys who are on the floor each night. That's the only way I can handle it. And it's unfortunate that there's so much turmoil, but you just hope. We want to see good basketball, and we want to see these kids out there, and that's what you hope for.
Speaking of good basketball, big one next Friday night. I plan on being there at the Simon Gym at Manchester Central. Central and Pinkerton, a team you just saw last night.
And I'll tell you, that's Pinkerton is not a good match. Central is not a good matchup for Pinkerton. Central really can move the ball, I think, with those guys and can really cause some problems. I think that they can kind of expose some weaknesses that Pinkerton might have. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think that's a good matchup for Central. I think they can play them pretty tough.
All right, we'll get a scouting report on Pinkerton from our next guest as we take this break, come back. We'll have Matt Alosa from Pembroke on the phone. His team lost at Pinkerton last night, a game you covered, Dave, for nhsportspage.com. The video highlights are up on the site as we speak. Quick timeout. More of the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show coming up after these on News Radio 610 and 96.7.
Welcome back to the best local coverage of New Hampshire High School basketball. The New Hampshire High School Hoop Show on News Radio 610 and 96.7.
Heading up towards top of the hour, 9 o'clock. It is the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show. We do it for you on the radio, 2 fine stations each and every Saturday morning, live between 8 and 9 a.m. News Radio 610 in and around the Manchester area, and also on the Seacoast 96.7, News Radio 96.7. My name is Pete Terrier, along with Dave Haley from nhsportspage.com. And our next guest hails from Pembroke, Matt Alosa, the legendary former player at Pembroke and University of New Hampshire, now coaching at the old high school and up in Division I. Coach, how are you? Good morning. Thanks for coming on.
Hi, Pete. Hi, Dave. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, last time I talked to you, you guys were winning your second champion. Well, actually, I did talk to you during the preseason jamboree, but last time I talked to you in a real official capacity, you were winning your second championship in Division II. Some stuff happened in the offseason. We won't necessarily get into that, but how has the transition to Division I been for you?
It's been pretty good. It's an adjustment period, not only for the players, but for me. You haven't seen a lot of these teams in a scouting capacity, so I'm getting used to it and getting the kids a scout on the different teams in Division I. And so far, so good. You know, we had our first loss last night against Pinkerton, but it's a learning experience. We have a new group, and it's a new division. But I look forward to the challenge and the new set of teams.
So I want to talk about last night, a couple specific things about last night. Did you, late in the game, you kind of went to that, I don't know if it's a 2-1-2 or a 1-2-2, you know, kind of a three-quarter court trap that you do so well. You used to have Kafani Williams in the middle of that. And you seemed like you came out man-to-man against Pinkerton. I just want to get your thought process behind that. And did you feel like they were going to be hard to pressure because of Gio Baker at point guard? Or, you know, what was your thought process?
Absolutely. I think Pinkerton, for me, is the most talented team in the state this year, at least early on. They're a really hard team to pressure, not only you have Gio, but you have some very good shooters on the sides. We were kind of worried a little bit if we pressured Gio three-quarter court or half court that he was going to kind of get in the middle of the defense and make plays for him. So I actually think Dominic Timbus did a really good job on Gio last night. We did not have a good start to the game. I think we came out a little bit nervous and we threw the ball away a little bit. Our team is a project. I'm hoping that I think this team has a lot of upside where I'm hoping towards March we can kind of get rid of some of the little wrinkles and kinks that we have going on.
What did you say at halftime? Because there were a lot of turnovers last night. I thought Dominic Timbus and Max Curran, especially in the second half, played really well. I mean, and I think I agree with you 100%. I think when I talked to Jamie, his father, Jamie Timbus, before the game, and he said he's going to guard Gio Baker. I said, oh, boy. But he did a nice job. He kept his feet moving. But a lot of the turnovers last night were sort of miscommunication turnovers. Now, Pinkerton does a great job of getting their hands on a lot of passes. But as you know, a lot of the passes last night where kids were zigging when they thought they were going to be zagging, and there were a lot of kind of looking at each other like, why are you running when I'm passing it to you? And, what was your message at halftime? Because it looked like you cleaned up a lot of those mistakes in the second half when you got back in it.
Yeah, and really that's not me cleaning them up. That's them getting used to the speed of the game. And I think that's a lot of the adjustment maybe in Division I. Not that we hadn't seen it before, but I think some players maybe have not handled the ball in that situation. You don't have Pat Welch, or you don't have a Rainey Marr, you don't have one of our previous guards that are going to come out and just the ball is secure. So we have a lot of guys that are going to handle the ball and have to move the ball, especially through their press. They did a really good job trying to speed us up last night, especially in the first half, which got them that lead. And we settled down in the second half, and we scratched and clawed and kind of got our way back into the game. Just we ran out of time at the end of the game. I think if we had another quarter, it might have been a different story. But I was happy the way that it ended up, not happy the way that we have been starting games. So not only last night, but in previous games.
That's the voice of Matt Alosa, the head coach of the Pembroke Spartans, losing their first Division I game last night, 58-51 down in Derry against the Pinkerton Astros, who are unbeaten. And, Coach, in Division I, as you know, there's really no nights off. Even when you travel out to Keene for your first game of the season, they took you down to the wire. You got Spalding coming in, and I think Spalding is a team that was under the radar this year. They're always competitive. They're always solid. They've been a Final Four team on a couple of occasions in recent years, but I don't think this year a lot of people gave them a lot of credit as being a real contender in D1. And what do you know? They're undefeated, I think 4-0 now, heading into their game at Pembroke on Tuesday night.
Yeah, there's a lot of parity in Division I. I think it's a mixed bag right now at the top. I saw Spalding play in their Christmas tournament. They're very, very well coached. They have a very, very unselfish team, and they're dangerous because they're very disciplined. And, yeah, there's no nights off in Division I. From top to bottom, you're going to get a good team. And the way our team is built, we kind of have a grind going on almost every night in the game as far as defending and making sure we get the right shot on offense. We need a few guys to step up. Maybe we can work out some of these wins moving forward. For me, I go into the year talking to my players and say, listen, our goal is to finish in the top 4. The way that it's set up in the NHIA is that you get 2 home court playoff games if you can finish in the top 4. So initially, that's our goal going into the season.
Talk about Dominic Timbus and kind of how he has transformed really into a guard, and he's a kid who really sacrificed his offense for Pat Welch and Kafani Williams in the last couple of years and Matt Persons before him. I mean, terrific players. And he sort of did the dirty work, set the high ball screens, rolled to the hoop, finished if it was there, but if not, just rebounded for you, outlet passes and so forth. And, talk about kind of what he's done, because he's really transformed himself into, just a real leader. Doesn't seem like a real vocal kid, but just the way he plays and the way he carries himself out there, you can tell the kids follow him.
Yeah, absolutely. Dominic's a captain. He's a tri-captain. And we're working on that just to be that vocal leader. He does lead by example. He really does. In practice every day, in the games, he's turning into a pretty good scorer. He can handle the ball. He's a very, very well-rounded. He's a very, very well-rounded player. He's going to make a college coach very happy one day because he does all the little things that you need to do that are not talked about. He goes out there and he does those things, like guard Geo Baker or very, very good help side defense, the things that you don't see or necessarily notice. Dominic does all those things. And people are just starting to see him score and handle the ball and do some more of those flashy things. But Dominic's doing a great job this season.
How about Max? I mean, I think he's a kid that, he's got the size, he's got incredible length. He can shoot it from the outside. I saw him on the highlights from last night's game attacking the basket, had a great block of a shot on defense. He seems to have elevated his game this year, and I'm sure you're happy about that.
Yeah, we need Max and Dominic, that kind of 1-2 punch moving forward. Max is coming around. He's getting a little bit more athletic. He's really long. He can shoot from the outside, and we just need to get him to kind of pick up on the defensive end and kind of play the game for more than 1 or 2 or 3 minutes at a time as a group in general for our team. We've been playing games 15, 16, like last night was a perfect example. We didn't start well. I think we only played 17, 18 minutes of that game hard, and we played those minutes well. We need to play more minutes to be competitive towards the end of the year. But Max is coming around.
So is this move to Division I permanent? I mean, is this as long as you're running the program? Is this where you want to be? Is this for you a permanent move in your mind?
Yeah, it's a permanent move in my mind. I think we're just, as a program, better suited for Division I, and it just gives us a little bit more competition throughout the year. I've told a bunch of people this summer and before, I'd rather take some more losses and have the kids get all the competition that they can get. It's all about the development of the kids and getting them what they need as a basketball player. So I just think it's a good thing, and I'm looking forward to staying up in Division I.
Coach, I want to preface this by saying I'm not going negative here, but I want to get your thoughts on the situation. I think there's a lot of Alosa haters out there, a lot of Pembroke haters, and sometimes it seems like they're out to get you guys, and I'm talking about you and your dad and your program. How much does that bug you? Have you ever thought about saying, this ain't worth it and maybe it's time for me to move on? Did that ever cross your mind, or does that ever cross your mind?
It doesn't cross my mind move on from basketball. What crosses my mind sometimes is maybe people were misunderstood a little bit. The Elosas in general and the basketball program, the Granite State Raiders, they're connected to Pembroke Academy only in area. We have kids come from all over the state that play with us. For example, Cody Ball, congratulations, scholarship to St. Anselm's, was a Granite State Raider. There's lots of kids that play in our program. Pembroke just seems to get the brunt of it, not only because we win a lot and we run, I'd like to think, a pretty good program at Pembroke, but we just get winning sometimes brings a little bit of negativity, unfortunately. And it doesn't discourage me. It's sad sometimes that I think New Hampshire takes some of their own players in their own state and they look down upon them. But, I keep my head up. I do my thing day to day, and I know I'm in the trenches with these kids all summer long just trying to get them better.
Pete and I always talk about this, and it's one of our favorite things is the holiday tournaments, to see the kids that you covered for all those years come back. And, it's great. I saw you at the Queen City, and, you get to talk to kids, like I said, Pat Keefe and Dawson Dixon and John Martin. And Pat Welch was there with you. He was sitting with Max Curran, and I got to talk to Pat, and we always talk about how great he's doing, but you have the more information. So I know a lot of people out there wonder how he's doing. He's doing terrific, but can you kind of talk about how Pat Welch is doing this year?
Yeah, Pat's at Notre Dame Prep. I think they're ranked number 2 in the country in prep schools. He's starting. I think he's averaging around 14, 15 points a game. He's doing really, really well, and he's trying to make an adjustment where he's coming from New Hampshire high school basketball, where it's good basketball, but it's not the same as nationally ranked prep school kind of basketball, Brewster, Notre Dame Prep on that level. So he's making his adjustments. He's hoping he has scholarship offers. He's just wondering where he's going to go at the end of the year, and he's doing really, really well. If you haven't seen a Notre Dame Prep game or a Brewster game, sometimes they're not publicized as much as high school games, but it's very, very high-level basketball.
Coach, we really appreciate the time on a Saturday morning. I've been looking through the schedule and trying to find a spot for me to come out there and see the Pembroke Spartans play in D1. Dave takes the game I wanted last night. He's out there doing it himself.
That was fun last night.
I'll find a spot. I'll be out there to see you soon, and we really appreciate you coming on, and it's nice seeing you guys in D1.
Dave, Pete, I appreciate all you guys do for New Hampshire high school basketball, and we'll see you soon.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Matt Alosa from Pembroke. I love the guy, all right? I know there are haters out there. I think it's unfortunate, and I think the guy runs a good program. And my opinion is, and I know that this has been, one of the main sticking points, if I'm a parent and I want to move my kid someplace for a better education or a better whatever, that's my prerogative. Now, I know there's NHIAA has their bylaws and all that stuff, but to me, that's unconstitutional that you can tell me where to live, all right? And I'm not saying that's the main point. I'm not going into this long rant, but that's the way I feel about it.
I love how fired up you get. Yes, this is what I want out of you.
Because I would love for my kid to play for a coach like Matt Alosa.
That's the thing. Jamie Timbus, a personal friend of mine, and he says it all the time. And Dante is his younger son who's in the program too, and he goes, I want my kids playing for Matt Alosa. And then, they we talk about a lot of these kids getting in trouble off the court at programs all over the state, and it's unfortunate. We say, it's too bad. It didn't happen in Pembroke. Mm-hmm. Those kids were always there, and they go to school and they do their thing, and they stay eligible, and then they're off into the game. So they fit in Division I. I watched that game last night, and I said, this makes way more sense than no offense, than seeing them go up to Kingswood or play Souhegan when they're down, or you know what I'm saying, or Milford when they're down, and it doesn't make any sense. It's better for the kids, and they belong in Division I skill-wise, and so it's nice. It's exciting. Every new matchup is fun. Spalding, Pembroke, that sounds like a game I'd love to be at.
Yeah.
So, and last night I was just like, I said in the intro, I don't know if people got what I meant, but Pembroke, Pinkerton, we've never seen this before. It's exciting to see them on the floor together. So
in football, not so much, but in basketball, sure, it's a heck of a game.
It ain't happening.
We'll take one last time out, wrap up the show. Dave tells me he's got something in his craw, sticking in his craw, and he's going on one of those classic Dave Haley rants. When we come back, the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show, News Radio 610 and 96.7.
know their high school basketball. It's the New Hampshire High School Hoop Show with Pete Terrier and Dave Haley on News Radio 610 and 96.7.
We're inching ever so close to kickoff of the game today. Pats, Ravens. A lot of people nervous. I think Dave Haley's one of them. I'm feeling pretty confident. Got the Tom Brady jersey on. I went back, Dave, to the original Super Bowl championship hat, the 2001 season. So this thing's almost 15 years old at this point. Tom Brady was just a second-year quarterback. I'm channeling it all. Let's go, Pats. If you're looking for a place to watch a game, you're going to love this. Shooters Tavern in Belmont. I'm going to be there.
Are you going to Shooters?
Doing a Rock 101 Coors Light football promo this afternoon.
A few cocktails at Shooters in my day. Yeah.
I think me and you actually had cocktails there once.
Oh, yeah.
Twice.
We saw our consultants down there. See, we even have consultants at any sports pitch.
All right. So you walked into the studios this morning and said, I got a rant. I have no idea what you want to rant about, but you got about 3 minutes. So go.
I guess the topic would be we're going to lose a war to Canada someday with the way we're raising some of these kids. But there is now, it's been going on for a couple years. There's a team out there this season that has had 2 complaints to their athletic director because their fans are chanting and making noises during free throws.
Opposing teams' free throws?
Yeah, whatever. Who cares? Back in the day when I'm all fired up. Back in the day when I played, like I used to get the Haley, and then when I release it, they go, you suck, like, and all that. And it was fun. I loved it. I mean, you'd go up to Mascoma.
Did you turn to the crowd and give them the
you give them a little
double-barreled single digits?
Give them a little salute in one way or the other. And it was fun. And I mean, Trevor Howard talks about playing Newport, and they had to get like escorted into the gym. That's what that's what it's about. I went up to Lisbon a couple of years ago, and I saw Les Poor, who's championship coach there and AD now. And I went over to talk to him. We're having a conversation, and I'm always loud. It is what it is. And so I'm talking to him. They're shooting a foul shot. All of a sudden, I went, yeah. So how's it going? Because it's dead silent. I'm like, I go, what the hell's going on here? He said, you're not supposed to make the NHIAA.
They make an announcement. I remember I was at Hopkinton last year.
So here's the thing.
Before the game, they say, don't do that.
What do you and I talk about a lot? We say, how come we go to these big games and there's no high school students there? Here's why. Because you don't let these kids do anything at these games. They can't chant, they can't shout, they can't do anything. Kids get yelled at during the school week, during the school day. They don't want to go to a game on a Friday night and have someone to tell them to shut up. I've seen athletic directors sitting in the first row glaring at kids.
Yeah, they watch it like
For
a
the
hawk.
love of God, can we let these kids enjoy the game and have a good time? It's unbelievable. So the fact that a team, I won't name the team because they don't want me to name them, has had 2 complaints because they're making too much noise during games. For crying out loud. I mean, can we just what are we doing here? What is going on? We are raising a generation of kids where I swear to God, human resource directors are going to get calls from their parents, from the parents of employees. Like, did you yell at my son? Sir, your son is 26 years old. Yeah, did you yell at him? I swear to God, that's what's happening. And I have an 8-year-old. It ain't happening. There you go. That's my rant.
Poor Andy
Make noise!
He wanted to come on and make a rant, but we're out of time. So this is the portion where I get to thank people. John Kesty, thank you for coming in and filming this thing. It'll be up on the website. Jeremy Mahaney, our producer. Tom Crocco, Andy Buskey, thanks for sitting in. Hope you actually learned something while you were in here. For Dave Haley, my name's Pete Terrier. Go Patriots. Want to be previewing an AFC Championship game on next week's show.